first of all, I want to dig into what makes you one of the fastest growing telecoms operators, talking broadband, telephony, also mobile, but it's data digitization. That is the big struggle for everyone here. How are you doing it?
Well, we're mainly focused on mobile. That's our priority. We saw the end of being able to price for voice back in 2012 in our core market in Sweden, and since then we've very much focused on rolling out networks, 4G networks, that give customers a great experience, whether they're streaming video or they're online. And then what we've done is we've developed innovative pricing models that every time they consume more and spend more time on the network, we stimulate demand with value-added services such as content from HBO, and then we start to trade them up with bigger and bigger buckets.
Talking about the content, it's interesting we're starting to see more telecoms operators, more mobile operators wanting to buy telecom content makers. Is that something that you're looking at with fascination, with interest, with even in a little bit of appetite?
We very much, because we are very much just focused on pure connectivity, we tend to more work in partnership with content creators. We see video consumes so much of our networks, but what we do is we work with, like HBO Nordic, we help them launch in Scandinavia. We work closely with MTG's Viaplay, also in Scandinavia. And what we do is we then encourage them to work to sell their products alongside ours. And as more consumers consume video on our network, the more they're likely to trade up.
You've been investing heavily in 4G, that is streets ahead in some of the countries you work in, Sweden, Netherlands, than compared to the United Kingdom, for example. How do you approach the shift to 5G, which seems to be setting Mobile World Congress alight?
Well, we're very well placed for 5G. You know, after South Korea and Japan as the best 4G availability in the world, the next country is Lithuania, where we're #1 in the market. And Sweden is way up there in the top 5 in terms of 4G availability. Great news about 5G is it's built on 4G technology. So those of us that have got great, well-covered 4G networks will be able to build 5G directly on top of that.
I've been talking to other telecoms operators here, and there's a need, many, Deutsche Telekom, for example, saying for M&A, consolidation. The EU regulators are making that too difficult. Is that, you've bought TDC in Sweden, you're able to boost your overall growth and people that you serve there. Should M&A be a little bit easier in the EU?
Well, we're big believers in in-market consolidation, but we're also big believers in having the right number of competitors by market so that consumers are best served. That there are certainly some markets in Europe that have too many players, and I think you know, the way you're seeing the markets between mobile and fixed converge, the regulator in the past has been very much kind of focused on you need 4 mobile players per market. I think that's the wrong segmentation of the markets going forward, because as more and more consumers buy the bundle, the regulator needs to look at how do I ensure I've got the right competition on fixed and mobile. And so there are some markets where there's been convergence between fixed and mobile recently, and you've got 2 players, got almost 90% of the market. Maybe those markets shouldn't have 4 players going forward, but you really need a strong challenger to fight against the 2 big players that are in markets like that.
I've got to ask you, as a CEO of a EU-based telecoms company, a Scottish accent I'm hearing, how are you about the EU in general at the moment, the political environment that surrounds Mobile World Congress at the moment? You are one of your second biggest markets. Netherlands has an election coming up in 3 weeks. It's crucial because a populist seems to be at the front of the polls. Optimistic, pessimistic about the EU and the role it plays at the moment?
Well, I think the EU is a phenomenal part of the world to live, and there's opportunities for many. I think there is obviously a rising debate between the haves and the have-nots, and it's not affecting our industry. It's not affecting me. You know, we are the challenger. We have always focused on giving great connectivity at a great price so that the masses can access connectivity. So we see ourselves as one of those brands that is very democratic and gives opportunity to all.
And therefore, if you were going to be speaking to the politicians, to the regulators, one piece of want that you have at the moment, is there something that would make your business that much more exciting to work in, that much easier to do business in at the moment? What are you really calling for when it comes to the next generation of
obviously, you know, we work in a regulated industry, but we don't want those regulations to get in the way of us actually being able to deliver a return to our shareholders. So the regulator needs to support us and make sure it's an industry where investors want to invest, and as a result, consumers get a great product, a great experience from that investment. So I think I'd just say regulators work with us, but not against us.